Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order regular meeting of council Monday, January 6th, 2020. Approval of the agenda, please. Councillor Kirby.
The Monday, January 6th, 2020 regular council meeting agenda be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councillor Kalka. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Adoption of the minutes. Councillor Norbury.
That the Monday, December 9th, 2019 regular council meeting minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councillor Lehman. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Any business arising from the minutes? Council? Staff? Thank you. Moving on to 6.1, delegations, Tumbler Ridge Search and Rescue. To update council and to request gym and swim passes be available to members. Welcome.
Hello. I'm just going to speak
Sure.
clearly, if that's all right.
No problem.
I want to thank you guys for accepting our delegation and for all the support that council has provided to Tumbler Ridge Search and Rescue over the years. It's a bit of a tradition that we come and give you an update on the year, so I want to talk about 2019. Let's start off with just some of the things that I love about Search and Rescue. First of all, the community that is around Search and Rescue. This yellow logo down at the bottom there isn't one that we push around a whole lot, but that's our national logo. It's the Search and Rescue Volunteer Association of Canada. And for the first time in anyone's memory, we attended the national conference this year. 4 of us made the decent drive to Rocky Mountain House back in May. So SAR represents 300 teams across the country. 79 of those are in BC, and we're pretty proud of our BC teams. That's the top left logo there. Our biggest claim to fame is that we do more responses than the rest of the country combined. So we like to think we've got things put together pretty good in BC. But in going to the national conference and meeting teams from out east and a lot of teams from Alberta, it really helped me see beyond just what we get in BC, because the BC system of search and rescue is quite established. So I thought I'd share a piece of that, largely just because it's kind of interesting. They're very proud in Alberta, weirdly, they refer to themselves as the province of natural disaster. And they have a big specialty there with their search and rescue teams, dealing with things like this one was 20 years ago, the Pine Valley tornado. And this was a major focus of the conference because it happened right next door to Rocky Mountain House in Red Deer County. And at the time, Red Deer County had nothing but a school bus full of equipment. And it was interesting to see all the lessons they learned from that. They are way more prepared for the next time a tornado rips through central Alberta. And there's a lot of search and rescue lessons that have been shared out of major disasters like these. For example, when we go into the woods and we're just looking for what somebody might have left behind, a lot of those methods that we're using were developed in Scotland after the Lockerbie plane disaster, which was a terrorist act. They established some really good methods for finding evidence in the wilderness, in the mountains, and in lakes. So we learn from these unfortunate incidences quite well. And our community is really good at sharing things with each other, both the good and the bad. So these large responses are often where we learn some of the toughest lessons. And a metaphor came out of this conference that I hadn't heard before, which was the SAR Swiss Army knife. Search and rescue teams have a lot of different skills. We've got medics, we've got communication people, we've got mapping people, we've got logistics people. So people can get fed, plans can get made, lines can get opened, triage can happen. And it was a nice way to view search and rescue, because I'd always viewed it more as we're really good at solving problems. We're ad hoc problem solvers. We never know what the problems are going to be when we get up late at night, but we deal with them one at a time. But I like this metaphor quite a bit. So like any good knife, we've got to keep our edge honed. And I'm really proud of our team. I think we've got, pound for pound, one of the best teams in the province. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One is that we've been around for a decent amount of time. We also tend to get members that bring a lot of experience to the team. There's a lot of very capable people that live and work in Tumbler Ridge, as I think you know. We have people that are very keen on developing themselves as well. And we send people to training all over the province to do that. And we're pretty honest with each other. We're not afraid. People will tell me when I mess up. They'll say, Steve, you should have done that better. And I say, you're absolutely right. And that helps with our development quite a bit. So we maintain a lot of different skills for a search and rescue team in a small town. And a lot of that just comes with where we are. So here in Tumbler Ridge, we've got dangerous rivers. We've got avalanches, we've got flat ice, we've got rock and ice climbing, we've got hundreds of kilometers of trails, and we've got a very big portion of the province to cover compared to a lot of our teams down south. And these are strengths. So how did our terrain and skills come together in 2019? We held around 40 training exercises, including 2 overnighters out in the woods. And we called out the team 10 times. A couple of these were just people getting lost while driving or trying to go places that weren't quite ready to be driven to. We had a pair of lost hunters. We had, the missing child was in Mackenzie, a young boy named George that you probably saw in the news. We were on our way to that one when he was found. So I've been telling the other teams, you should call us sooner, we're a good luck charm. We had a couple of ATV and sled injuries. We had a total of 4 lost hikers on 2 different calls. And we had a couple calls for injured hikers as well. And these break down about half local, half visitors, give or take. We're growing in both respects, but we're definitely seeing more and more visitors getting out into the backcountry. I've always been struck, especially when I talk to teams down south, that people in our backcountry seem to have a pretty healthy respect and fear for it. For example, it would be crazy to find somebody hiking on a mountain near the lower mainland carrying a radio because they count on their cell phones to give them reception and things. We had at least 2 of these where our subjects had radios with them. And that was wonderful to have and to know, because we don't necessarily have to reach somebody to get in communication with them, of course. So that's 2019, and I'll be open to questions at the end, by the way. As for, and I just have, we're always trying to teach people who are going into the backcountry a few of these straightforward things. First of all, that search and rescue is always free. It's important that everyone know. We like everybody to call us early if they think they're going to need us. This absolutely did come up this year. Your husband doesn't have to know. A subject I was speaking to while she was lost on a mountain, and she really didn't want her husband to know she was lost. That's not a problem for me. No problem. We do deliver cocoa, and we really do not judge a person's reasons for needing our assistance. So, looking forward, tonight's the beginning of my spring recruitment drive. And so I want to invite everyone in the room to get a hold of me if you're interested in joining Search and Rescue. We've got opportunities for all sorts of things. It doesn't necessarily involve running out into the woods and doing the things we do. We do have governance and administrative opportunities. Regionality is something I'll get to on a slide ahead here. I've spoken with the fire chief about some joint training that I think we could accomplish together. We do have an F550 coming, and then we're continuing to develop our specialty teams, specifically those 3, avalanche, rope, and swiftwater. Those are teams that have to be designated at the provincial level. And then we're always looking to develop other specialty training. My new training officer has a great background in first aid. We're doing a lot of new things there. We've got some team members keen on tracking dogs, and then a few other hover exit aerial spotting and flat ice. And then, of course, we continue to do public education through the National Adventure Smart program. So, going back to Alberta, one of the interesting things about Rocky Mountain House is they're on the same side of the Rockies as us. And so the teams in that part of Alberta deal with a lot of the same sort of terrain as us. And the Clearwater Regional County has quite the drone program going. And if I can find somebody who's keen to pilot a drone and take on that end of it, Transport Canada recently relaxed the rules on drones quite a bit. So I do see a drone in our future, if nothing else, just to grab quick field maps, just a picture of an area that we might be working, as well as the picture on the right, that drone's actually carrying a life jacket. Reasonably affordable drones can carry respectable load. I'm more interested in slinging radios, possibly even snacks, things like that, but it's the life jacket was right at the limit of the drone's capability.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mentioned we've got an F-550 coming. It is neither one of these trucks, but it's similar to both of them. So I kept the picture on the left because that's a single cab, and we decided to go that route because we rarely have issues with transporting people. It's going to buy us a little more room for gear. That's Juan DeFuca's dedicated command vehicle. Ours is a mix of command and rescue, so ours is going to have a large awning on the driver's side, like the one pictured in the top right, as well as a smaller awning on the curb side, like pictured in the bottom right. And then a lot of storage on both sides, but especially the driver's side, of course. I mentioned regionality. So this is the 4 teams of the piece working together to get through some of the problems that are unique to our broad area and being so far from some of the core training that happens down south. We're making good progress on that. And then on to recruitment. Since you're all prospective recruits, I'm going to tell you what I always tell recruits. I like to be explicitly honest with them so that they know what they're signing up for. To be operational in search and rescue, you're going to have to pass an 80-hour training course. There's something like 10 tests. I didn't go and count. There's a lot of them. After that, you'll be sleeping in the woods with only your backpack and its contents on what we call the overnighter. There's a good chance there will be snow. We don't give people nice conditions on that one, unfortunately. And then you're going to be a member, and we're going to call you at the most convenient times so that you can go and help people. We're going to ask you to use those skills you learned, but you're going to be doing it in the dark and in the cold and in the rain, and there might be hiking before and after to help warm you up. You're going to need to carry your own supplies and potentially some of ours, and you're going to need to be prepared to be abandoned in the woods and spend the night all over again. That's our baseline, what we ask of our people.
Mm-hmm.
You may also need to carry the subject as well. So I wanted to get into the physicality of search and rescue. And it can be extraordinarily physical. This image I've got on the left here is what we call a stretcher carry. And I have certainly heard of people leaving search and rescue after their first stretcher carry. It is really, really grueling. Our go-to policy is that we get a lot of people here if we think we're going to need to carry somebody in a stretcher for more than half an hour. I mean, like 20 people to accomplish this, because it is really tough. It's tough on your elbow, it's tough on the leg that you're putting load on, it's tough on your back. There's trips, slips, and falls to be had. It is really punishing. We do maintain a rope team, and there's a whole special variety of physicality to that. And we have more people than ever interested in doing some swift water, which is most definitely one of the most dangerous things in search and rescue. In addition, we do expect people to jump out of helicopters. This is my good friend Kate. She's not a part of our team, but she did do her ground search and rescue training here. And she was a member of the Dawson team until just recently she moved to the Northwest. And here we are jumping out of helicopters at the Chetwynd Airport. You'll notice her team is taking pictures of her down in the bottom right. I'm taking a picture too, so we don't catch people as they jump out of helicopters. And then there's your classic, I mentioned type 3 grid searches. So this is the way we look for evidence. This isn't necessarily physically grueling, although you can end up with a sore neck from looking down all day, but it is mentally exhausting, both short-term and long-term. And then there's avalanche terrain. Even avalanche training is pretty exhausting. They end up having to dig snow pits to study the different levels of the snow and things, but in avalanche terrain is a special variety of exhausting. I had some team members actually find a creek with a sled on our last late night adventure, and it was a physical adventure to deal with that as well. And then there's the mental side of search and rescue, which there's been great strides in recognizing this as an issue. So we've got a provincial program called CISM, and we have a set of counselors around the province that are available to talk with people if they're having any PTSD type issues with search and rescue related things, or even just in their personal lives. So if you know anyone in search and rescue, you're welcome to keep the number down. You can report on anybody at any time, and they will receive support. So going back to gym and pool passes are something that came up around a year ago. I was sitting in the gallery. I don't remember why anymore. But they were being discussed for some of the other responders in town. And it makes an awful lot of sense for me to make these available to search and rescue members in good standing. But it's not really a recruitment or retention tool for us. I'm happy to report that those aren't major issues for us. We certainly do have people come and go, but it tends to be because they're leaving town for other work opportunities or things like that. Nor do I think a free gym pass or pool pass is the thing that's going to get somebody out of bed in the middle of the night to go and save someone. I want my team members to have more motivation than just having a gym pass. My reasons for asking for this are a little selfish, if I'm honest. It's my responsibility as a SAR manager to ask my volunteers to go into remote places and do dangerous physical things. And that's stressful for me. I stress every time I put a team out into the field. And I'm willing to bet the fire chief can relate, because I know he has to put volunteers in dangerous situations as well. So anything I can do to make my team's job easier and safer, I'm going to go after. And that's why I'm asking for these today. In addition, we're in a strong position to accomplish this from our end. We don't want to just give this to every member on the team, because of course that could devalue the gift that the district has given to other volunteers who receive this, like firefighters and paramedics. So we are intending to only make this available to members in good standing. And we calculate this more often than ever before. Provincially, we've moved to a new data management system called D4H. We track a lot of things in there, including attendance. So I can pull up monthly reports, quarterly reports, just with a couple clicks of a mouse, and it'll tell me exactly how many practices Amanda has attended or Harrison has attended, how many exercises they've gone on, and for how long. Did Harrison have a 5-hour month, or did he have a 20-hour month? It's one click away. So I'm proposing that I would update the community center on a quarterly basis to let them know who is considered to be in good standing or active and who isn't. By my current count of the 25 members that we've got on our roster, 23 are available for a call out as of the second, but I would consider 15 of those to be in good standing, just to give you a firm number on that. And then in addition, we've got a certification that our members have to maintain for Swiftwater. There's multiple levels of it, but at the very least, we aim for Swiftwater awareness. That allows our members to work on shorelines and in and around any level of water hazard. Doesn't allow them to go into the water unless they're at a higher level of Swiftwater awareness. But in the name of safety, I would be looking to make sure people maintain that. So an icing on the cake for us is, while I'm not looking at this as a recruitment or a retention tool, I certainly would love to see this incentivize people to attend more trainings. Because it can be a challenge to, people get tired, right? Harrison put in a full day of work today. He pulled a motor. So I get it if he doesn't feel up to getting out to a training, but it's always great to get as many people as possible.
Always be there. That's great.
Thank you very much, Steve. Council, any questions? Councilor Majinski?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. Steve, thank you very much for that presentation and overview. Thank you for not harassing about becoming a member of 2020 so far. I have one question about your contact info. Is it available in the community center, the Vic, hotels, restaurants?
So the
Available for everybody?
contact info for search and rescue.
Yeah.
The main contact method is 911. We have to be activated through a designated agency that we're allowed to, the province will activate our team for. So that includes BC Ambulance, the local fire department, but it's usually the RCMP. And there's some other agencies as well, but I won't worry. But on a non-emergency side, I publish my own cell number as the contact number. And that is on some of our pamphlets, and it's registered with Google, but I don't believe it's posted elsewhere in the community.
One other question with that. I know that's a cell number and we do have limited access to cells, so do you have an inReach contact info number?
Our team maintains 4 inReaches. We tend to send them out into the field on an as-needed basis, and with the way communications in our valleys work, we rely on them pretty heavily. We're not allowed to use them for non-emergency use though, because those are paid for by the province.
Yeah, it's usually the RCMP that dispatches search and rescue through 911.
So if you have an inReach, what number do you contact if you're out in the backcountry?
So our policy with inReach, we found this little trick with inReaches. When you are planning to use one, it's best to test it immediately before anybody leaves the command post. And then we immediately have that chain of communication established. If you don't do that, you often can only get communication to work one way until that's been opened up. So the numbers, they effectively change every time because we don't pay attention to the numbers. We just go, okay, this team's got inReach number 1, this team's got inReach number 3, and away you go. I do frequently get people phoning me saying, hey, I think I need search and rescue, and I sadly have to tell them you need to call 911, ask for search and rescue, then give me a call back because I'm going to have some questions for you. But I cut them off pretty quickly and say, please call 911, get that ball rolling, because until that ball's rolling, our team isn't covered by things like WCB, for example. So I have to insist on that procedure.
Thank you. Any council, any other questions?
One last
Go ahead.
one. Since there's a lot of avalanches in the area, do you guys have snowmobiles at your disposal?
Yes, we don't own any ourselves, but we definitely have team members with a respectable number. So at any given time, we tend to be able to muster about 8 snowmobiles on average, certainly more at sometimes than others. In this respect, it doesn't hurt us that our calls tend to come at the end of the day when people are coming in from sledding. On our last call, it was very curious. The subject was originally reported to be at the Core Lodge. We conveniently had a member sitting at the Core Lodge packing up for the day, and he was able to confirm for us that that information was bad. And this isn't unusual. We deal with bad information pretty frequently. We've had call-outs for snowmobile things where a mother called us and said, my son is snowmobiling with his friends in Tumbler Ridge. That is literally all we got. He's overdue, he should have been home by now. So, okay, do you know which road he was down? Or no, he was in Tumbler Ridge. So we just sent teams everywhere. We went down the Bull Moose, we went down the Core Lodge, the Wolverine, we went everywhere, and we found them. Because sometimes that's just, you run against an information deficit, so you go out and collect information.
Yeah. No, I certainly have a lot of respect for search and rescue. My wife and I were members many years ago, and yeah, it's not something you want to be busy at, but it's certainly, my opinion, an essential service, especially around here. So thank you for all that you do, Steve, and I appreciate your presentation. Thank you. Okay, move on to consent agenda 7.1. Recommendation, please, Councillor Norbury.
That all items in the Monday, January 6th, 2020 consent agenda be moved for information.
Seconder, Councillor Lehman. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Did council like to open anything for discussion on the consent agenda? I'd like to move 7.8 for discussion. Seconder, please. Councillor Kukalka. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Recently had before Christmas a meeting with South Peace mayors and electoral area directors, and we got a presentation from this group wanting to send a letter to Quebec, but also wanting to start to change the narrative of natural resource extraction in Canada, and really wanting to show best practices that we are implementing and pride in what we do. And we were asked by this company, these consultants to sign this letter. So I told them that I needed to bring it forward to council and look for support. So that's what I'm looking for. I do support the letter and just looking for council's support to sign it. Councillor Norbury.
I support in sending a letter in support of this initiative.
Thank you. Any objections? Okay, thank you. Okay, anything else on the consent agenda? Okay, new business, 9.1, mental health speaker, Theo Fleury. Report from Councillor Norbury dated January 6, 2020 to seek approval to bring in a speaker on mental health and addictions. Recommendation, please. Councillor Norbury.
The council pre-approves $12,500 plus travel expenses to have previous Calgary Flame hockey player Theo Fleury to speak to Tumbler Ridge regarding his struggles with addictions and mental health.
Seconder. Councillor Lehman. Any discussion? Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Your Mayor. I have a bit of a pitch for everyone, but before I jump into that, I'd like to highlight that bringing this forward wasn't a simple, oh, this is a great idea, let's just bring it forward. You know, I don't know if this will. I can't absolutely say this will be a solution or a fix-all for addictions or mental health, but I certainly believe that it will help. So I'd like to start off with a phrase that I've heard recently that sums up why I brought this forward, and it was really the defining thought in this, is that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. You know, what are we preventing? The opioid epidemic is in full effect. We're preventing more people from succumbing to substance abuse, preventing more people from from succumbing to overdose and suicide. And we need to start the conversations about addictions in our community. Last year, the World Cafe taught us that the average opioid user in Fort St. John was the 25 to 35-year-old housewife. And the Addiction Center in Canada says that 21.6% of all Canadians meet the criteria for substance abuse. 1 in 5 to 1 in 4. And that is much different than the beggar on the street most of us assume the addict looks like. A recent study in the US by the United Press International of 1 million urine drug tests saw a quadrupling of opioid use and six times rise of use of methamphetamine. Now, I've heard multiple people express their concerns over the future of Tumbler Ridge, and I believe now is the time to act, not when or if our minds close again. Jennifer Sylvia, a professor of sociology and anthropology at Bucknell University, did a study in Pennsylvania in a coal town. Similar to ours. It wasn't metallurgical. I mean, they mostly do with power. But she noticed that for each percentage point increase in unemployment, the death rate of opioids raised by 3.6%. So there is a direct correlation to unemployment rate versus opioid deaths. This leads us to the 3 overdose deaths we had in our community recently. It's clear that substance abuse is a problem in our community, and I think we should take a proactive approach in helping our residents. What are we willing to do? How far are we willing to go to try and help people with substance abuse? What's already been done? We've had multiple discussions with Northern Health. We are reacting to what has happened, and we are trying to build community resiliency and have a network for people to call upon. But what else can be done? I believe that bringing in a well-known celebrity to talk about their road with addictions will make the biggest impact on our community. It will be a way to bridge the gap between people and start the conversation and education around addictions and mental health and how trauma is perceived. Let's be honest, if people were to hear about Theo Fleury, a Stanley Cup champion, an Olympic gold medalist, coming to town, they will come out to hear what he has to say. His presentation will be about how trauma has affected his life and how he has succeeded, even if part of his life has fell into tough times with his alcohol and drug addiction. Theo Fleury is a man who seemed to have it all from the perspective from all of us, and he even admits to attempting to commit suicide. He's a man who once had over $50 million. He has a Stanley Cup ring, an Olympic gold medal, but he is not above depression and addictions. For those who do not know, Theo Fleury was molested by his hockey coach, which caused trauma in his life, and because of that, he struggled with addictions and depression in his entire life. Thank you.
Any other comments? Councillor Kauka?
Yeah. So when it says plus travel, I'm curious if we have an idea of what plus travel expense is. I mean, no disrespect, but I'm assuming it's flights, hotels possibly, car rentals. Do we know where the gentleman's coming from?
Councillor Norbury.
It's from either Calgary or Edmonton.
So I guess my other concern is, I think, Councilor Norbury, you're correct. There has to be something done now. I'm not saying this is not the right way to go, or it's the right way to go, but when I look at some of the details, and it's the agenda, page 118, that's what I've got up here. Now it says Theo delivers an inspiring 60-minute presentation. Great. 1 hour autograph session. Right? Theo meets personally with your event's VIP guests for pictures and autographs. To me, it's more about autographs and stuff like that. When you're spending $12,000, to me, are we better off to be putting that money towards a drug and alcohol counselor under contract? A youth counselor under contract? Like, my thoughts with this is, people with the addiction part of it is not the ones that are going to come to the presentation. It's going to be people maybe that like hockey and stuff like that and want to get an autograph, have my Flames jersey autographed. That's my concern with that. Mm-hmm. I've been to a few. I've had other companies bring in guest speakers, maybe not Theo Fleury, but other NHL players, and to me that's what it was about. Yes, they were molested from their hockey coaches and they had their thing, but it was more for an autograph session. Mm-hmm. And I think that's my concern when we're looking at $12,000. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would say probably closer to 14.
Likely, yeah. Yeah, I understand your concern, Councillor, and I tend to disagree. I think we would get a whole mix of people coming, but I also think this type of a speech would be more of a preventative measure rather than a management issue for people with with, so I think, in my opinion, I'm in fully support of this. I think he's a very well respected speaker, and he's been through a lot, and he's come out the other end to become a motivational speaker. And I think, you know, for people to hear his experiences in life and to go from high to rock bottom low and back again is pretty impressive. So yeah, I'm definitely in support of this. Councillor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. To Councillor Norbury, was this something that was brought up with Building Healthy Communities or any of the boards that you sit on as something that was a recommendation, or is this just an initiative on your own?
Councillor Norbury.
We have looked at a lot of different mental health speakers to come in. This was looked at, but it was felt that our committee should be focusing on a smaller sort of speakers. So, and then the committee is in full support of finding mental health speakers, but we're trying to look for other outside funding. So this is something I'm trying to bring forward to council as something we can take ownership of.
But it was discussed at the committee, though, right? Yes. Councillor Kirby.
Bringing Mr. Fleury in, is this something that would be paid totally by the district, or is there going to be a fee charged to people attending? Is there a way to co-sponsor with another community such as Chetwynd? I know
Businesses.
when you're bringing in someone like that, if he's got a couple of engagements, it could drop the price. I'm just looking at what other options kind of discussed.
Or sponsorship, possibly. Councillor Norbury.
Those are great suggestions. I haven't explored that option yet. Yeah, it's potential. There's potential there.
Well, I think it could be a regional thing too, right? It's not just for Tumbler Ridge. I think we could market this to the region as well. Councillor Majinski.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I'm not in favor in this recommendation, just on the fact that this could be a very small demographic of people that's going to affect and that are going to be keen to this.
Like, I understand Mr. Fleury is very well known, and I've actually seen this talk that he's done before. I think it's on either a conference or a TED Talk or something like that online. So I don't know if that option has been looked at instead of having him fly in, do a conference call. The other thing is, I don't think everybody's comfortable leaving their own home, especially if they do deal with an addiction or a mental health issue. I don't think they'd like to be in the public. So, and the other thing there too is to collaborate with
Dawson, Chetwynd, or somebody else. I just don't think it's reasonable to have that amount of money for one day for just 60 minutes of somebody's time, where we could have
a counselor come in from Dawson and do one-on-ones, as opposed to
just a broad spectrum of people, that it might not cater to everybody.
Yeah, I can just speak from my own personal experience. Counselors aren't very easy to find, and my family has to go to Chetwynd to do counseling. So, you know, best case scenario, I would love to bring another counselor to Tumbler Ridge. We've explored this with Northern Health, but they're not that easy to find. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. So to address a couple of points, firstly from Councillor Kalka, you're presenting, if we have this money, we should choose between A or B. I don't think we have to choose between A or B. Why not? If we want to support, we can support both initiatives. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You know, and your worship, you made a good point in that this is a preventative measure, not so much of a reactive measure, which councils are. And then when we talk about the amount of people that this could possibly help, hockey is a big mover in our community. So I believe this would create a lot of interest there. But you know, going back to a percentage that I brought up, and that's 21% of all people struggle with addictions. It's 1 in 5. In our community, that's 400 people. And I think it would make it easier for them to come out and to receive information or to open up about it in a arena that is open to everyone. they're more likely to come out to that versus going out to a counselor, which we don't currently have. We have a social worker who 10 hours of their week is given to counseling, but they're a social worker, not a counselor, and the wait list to see them is multiple weeks long.
Yeah. Councilor Majinski.
Thank you, Bertrand. So this speaker is a presentation on awareness, not counseling. I would rather see that money go towards counseling for people in our community throughout the entire year instead of having one presentation at one time where there's not going to be as much feedback, there's not going to be as much a gain from it in the end.
That's hard to, I would disagree. Any other comments? Councillor Howell?
Where do we get our information from that's not from the rumor mill? Like,
As far as
like 3 overdose deaths, we have an opioid crisis in Tumbler Ridge. Where are we getting that information from? Like, is that supposed to come to us from the RCMP? Is that supposed to come to us from Northern Health?
Northern Health.
Because like I don't have any information in front of me that says anything to that regard. You know, and there is a lot of hubbub and there's a lot of chatter about opioid addictions and this and that, but like, you know, I'd like some more information, like something that, you know, is there some type of report that can be generated
From Northern Health, yeah.
Northern Health come in, or the RCMP come in and say, yeah, you guys do have a major problem in Tumbler Ridge as compared to Chetwynd or Prince George or wherever. Your statistics are way up here as compared to there, so that we can get a feel for how serious this is. And I don't doubt that Councillor Norbury wants to do something to help, and I think we all want to do something to help. I just don't know that just throwing darts at the board is maybe the correct solution, and maybe bringing Fleury in 6 months from now when we understand a little bit better about where we are or where we're going, what our options are, and what Councillor Brzezinski talks about. I don't even know if this is an option. You say that it's too hard to get councillors in Tumbler Ridge. Maybe if we put our money up front and not Northern Health, and just bypass Northern Health and get our own councillors here. Is that an option? To me, I'd rather spend $12,000 looking for somebody to come into Tumbler Ridge than it would bring in there in Fleury, and look at a long-term solution if the issue's there. And like I say, I've heard some outreach from a few members of the community that are concerned that there isn't enough counseling in Tumbler Ridge, and some other issues through Northern Health. But if we don't have that type of a conversation, I think this is just throwing darts at the board, hoping that it works. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had a number of phone calls with Northern Health in the last 4 months, I would say, I guess. But I can certainly ask them for a report on those types of things to see where we're at.
Sure.
I don't know. I was gonna ask Mr. Wall if Fire Chief had any stats, but we'll leave that for another meeting. Mr. Wall.
Yeah, we sent out to council. There was a request that came in, so at the end of November, and the information Chief Curry got was from BCAS, 23 overdose calls within the last 2 years.
Okay. That was from the ambulance service. Okay. Thank you. Okay, any other comments? Okay. I would entertain a notion or a motion to defer until we get more information, if anyone is interested. Councillor Howell?
I'll put that motion forward.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Majinski? Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Uh, 9.2 Travel Request AME Roundup. A report from Confidential Secretary HR Manager dated January 6, 2020, seeking travel request approval for Mayor Bertrand to attend the AME Roundup in Vancouver. Before the recommendation, I just wanted to make a correction. On page 39, under the background of the report, it said that this conference will provide an opportunity for an informal meeting of the leaders table. That's incorrect. It'll be an informal meeting of the Mining Jobs Task Force members. There's been a lot of new faces joining this task force, CEOs that have moved on to other companies and been replaced. Those replacements have taken their spots on the task force. So that's just a little correction there. I'm sorry I missed it beforehand, but I just wanted to let council know too that I get a lot of requests for certain conferences and all kinds of stuff, and I've kind of had over the last year and a half, I've had to kind of pick through and search and find validity on all of them, and these couple here tonight are very valid ones. The AME roundup is there's members on the task force that I sit on that are part of the AME. The CEO of AME is there, so it is a fairly big conference there. I didn't go last year, and I kind of regret not getting it forward to council beforehand, so it is up for this year. So recommendation please, Councillor Korkalka.
The council approved travel expense for Mayor Bertrand to attend the AME Roundup 2020 in Vancouver, January 20th to 23rd, 2020.
Seconder, Councillor Lehman. Any comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Sorry. Were you opposed, Councillor Howe? Okay. Got that, Janie? Thank you. 9.3 travel request, finding the path to shared prosperity. A report from the confidential secretary, HR manager, dated January 6, 2020, seeking travel request approval for Mayor Bertrand to attend UNDRIP era Finding the Path for program that takes place January 14th, 2020. Correction there. So this is a new one. Just a bit of background. Resource Municipalities Coalition that we are a part of has partnered with Resource Works out of Vancouver, and Resource Works is putting together this information session about UNDRIP. Recently the provincial government has adopted UNDRIP and is very committed to it, and this is really going to be an information session to really understand the implications of it and how we're going to move forward provincially. So this is a good opportunity to learn more about UNDRIP. Again, just asking for Councillor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. Why isn't there for a conference like this, if it's the Resource Coalition, why isn't it more local than having to?
It's not. It's actually Resource Works in Vancouver that is putting it together, and they've asked us to partner up with them. So
And then
the coalition.
How many members from the coalition will be going down?
At the moment, it's 3 out of 4. With myself being the 4th. Recommendation, please. Councillor Norbury.
The council approves the travel expenses for. All right, hit a button. Let's go back.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Kalka. User error on my laptop here. The council approved the travel expenses for Mayor Bertrand to attend the UNDRIP era Finding the Path program, January 14th, 2020.
Seconder. No seconder. Councillor Korkalka, thank you. Any comments? Councillor Korkalka.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. So I read through some of it, it's not even with our First Nations, is my understanding. Right, it's the Keelik First Nations, the South Sea First Nations. So, is there going to be one that's coming up for our nations within our area, like Soto and Westmo and McLeod Lake? I just read that on page 45 of 118.
Yeah,
it
so
says, the Euclid First Nation moderates a discussion among 3 First Nations whose traditional territories lie adjacent to So it's not even, it's, to me, it's not even,
So that's the First Nations around Vancouver area. That's probably the closest ones that they've chosen to speak about this. But UNDRIP is really all nations, right? So it's not. It wouldn't be like agreements here and agreement here. It's agreement here. It's province wide. The province has adopted UNDRIP, so it's really an opportunity to try and understand what the implications may be. Councilor Kirkcaldy.
yeah, and I get it, it's a province thing and federally as well, not just provincial. But I'm just wondering if there's gonna be one coming up that is gonna have to, you know, and maybe our First Nation's gonna put on the treaty.
Locally?
Somebody in our Treaty 8's gonna put on the same idea to give an overview. Instead
So-
of going to Vancouver for it.
Yeah, so this information session is the first one since the UNDRIP declaration by the province. So Resource Works really wanted to jump on it and start to inform everybody about it. We really don't know what the future holds for this, so I'm curious to know how it's going to affect future policy for sure. As far as regionally goes, I don't believe anything is planned for it. Any other comments? Okay, call to question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, 9.4, Bear Hazard Assessment, Wild Safe BC. Report from the Director of Protective Services dated January 6, 2020, to provide council with an update on the bear hazard assessment conducted by Wild Safe BC and the District of Tumbler Ridge. Recommendation, please. Councilor Kirkcaldy.
Council forward 3,000 a special project budget considerations for a bear human conflict management plan.
Seconder. Councilor Norbury. Any comments? Councilor Norbury.
Yeah, I'd like to say that I'm in favor of the recommendation. I think it's important for us to always renew our look at how we come into contact with bears. It is changing. How we manage our... I've noticed that when we first started taking this initiative to inform people about what to do to prevent bear encounters, how to get in contact, make the report a bear hotline, that people's awareness rose and we had better community safety.
I agree. Councilor Majinski.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. This is just for the plan, the management plan. My concern is how much it's going to cost to actually implement it so that we are considered a bear-safe community or bear-aware community. If this is going to be quite extensive and pricey in the long run, whether that's clearing out parks for visibility, line of sight. I talked to Mr. Wall about this today. Then we're going to be tearing down trees and clearing out areas and so that we can make our parks safer. And how much that's going to cost, because $3,000 just the management plan is one thing, but then to go ahead and take all the fruit trees out of town and make it more safe, just so that bears don't get attracted to just garbage in our community. I don't know, I'd be kind of wary to see how much it actually cost us for the full overview.
Mr. Wall, can you elaborate on any of that by chance?
Yeah, so the management plan that comes out will leave council with choices. So it'll highlight what can be done to reach the Bear Smart status and what can be done just to improve or discourage bears from coming in and staying in the community. What you want to do with that would be up to council. You can see in the bullets here on Chief Curry's report some of the recommendations that are likely to come out of it. As Councillor Majinski said, increasing the sightlines in our parks would be one of them. Getting rid of fruit-bearing trees, maybe even reversing some of the decisions that we've made with allowing livestock in the community are all things that may be recommended in the management plan, but those are not things that council's committed to. So should we proceed with this report, get this report, and council want to move forward with some of those recommendations, you get the costing and the ability to make the decisions at that point. So moving forward with this management plan isn't a commitment to follow through with recommendations, just to produce them. But I do expect some of these to be lengthy as far as staff time goes, and I do expect some of them to be costly to get done as well.
Okay. Any other comments, Councillor Norbury?
Yeah, to address what Councillor Brzezinski said, I think more knowledge in how to make our community safer when it comes to bears is something we should be looking more into. I agree that this may cost us more money in the future, but we're not, as Mr. Wall pointed out, we're not priced into making those decisions. But it may illuminate something like we're in a high danger situation in certain areas because of certain situations, and I think more information is as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think the plan would definitely be worthwhile for information purposes. I definitely commend previous mayor and council for acting when they saw a problem with the bears. I think the actions that were taken then were not only reactive but also preventative. Yeah, I think I am in support of this report. Mr. Wall, the draft report here in the agenda, when is that finalized? Like, why? I wasn't aware of this draft report, so I'm just curious about it. Mr. Wall.
I believe that's draft now, and it'll be finalized after this meeting.
That's right.
Okay. And this is the plan then, or
This is, Chief, do you mind
Absolutely.
please?
explaining the difference between the two?
So, Mayor and councilors, so this is the bear hazard assessment. So this is going to be the fundamental hazard assessment that's going to feed the bear human conflict management plan.
Okay.
In this report, there's a few different things that are outlined in terms of sight lines, fruit-bearing trees, wildlife corridors. Those are things that we're going to come up with in the bear human management plan, and how to address those in terms of to a satisfactory level for the bear smart community.
So in that plan, if we were to follow the plan completely, then we would make a designation of a bear smart community?
That's correct, Your Worship. So Tumbler just done a very, very good job of putting the cart before the horse, so to speak. The bear hazard assessment is usually the first step that a community would actually take to becoming a bear smart community. We've done things like bylaw amendments and creation. We've done bear proofing in terms of solid waste collection carts. We've done a lot of things preemptively, and now we're coming back to get the little fine details out to become one of, we would be the 8th, I believe, community in the province to be designated as a bear smart community.
Should we follow through
Correct.
and get to that point? There's a good likelihood there would need to be significant debate amongst council and the changes that would need to be held in this community before we can reach the bear smart status, and also a conversation about whether or not those changes are going to be worth it, because the bear smart status does not bring anything other than the status with it. It doesn't bring us any benefits other than that.
Okay. Councillor Majinski?
Thank you, Mayor Trent. Direct this towards Mr. Curry.
Go ahead.
Is there any talk about other animals, cougars, coyotes, and stuff like that as well, and if they encompass that in it? Because I know a lot of communities that they've gotten away with the bears and they haven't had any problems with them, and then all of a sudden you have a big influx of cougars coming into the communities, just because of this changeover of territory or whatever. There's a whole lot of other things. So I want to know if there's because we do hear about people having coyotes coming to town or whatever, but cougars are I've seen them in this area. So.
And foxes too, yeah. Mr. Wall, does this encompass all wildlife or just bears?
So the bear hazard assessment is strictly for bears. That's what the scope of the assessment was. That doesn't mean that we don't have data that we can pull from. It's the WARP. It's the same pool that BC conservation officers use. That's where we got the bear data from for this one.
Okay. Councillor Kirby?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. At this point, I think we've done really great steps to become bear aware. And I think until council decides if we want to become a bear smart community, this assessment might not be needed. And I don't think we should vote on this part of it unless we are going to be willing to take the full steps of becoming bear smart. because I think we know what I think we've already got all the information that we need to work on.
Yeah, I
That's my
agree.
opinion, so
I agree with you.
Probably vote against this at this time.
Yeah, I agree with you, Councillor. I think the hazard assessment is good information, but I'm not sure if I'm willing to rip down every fruit tree in town, that's for sure. Any other comments? Call to question on the recommendation. All in favor? Opposed? Defeated, thank you. I'd also like to put forward a motion to staff to draft a letter to the Minister of Environment to address the overpopulation of grizzly bear in our area. I'd like a seconder, please. Councillor Lehman. Any comments? Councillor Majinski?
Do we have a solid number on how many grizzly bears are in the area?
No, and I highly doubt the province does as well. But I can certainly tell you from many people that I know the population has increased. Councillor Howell?
Perhaps we could have a look at the letter that we sent, was it a year ago, 2 years ago? Whatever, we sent a similar letter a couple of years ago.
To the Ministry of Environment?
I'm sure it was.
Okay, look into that. I don't think the province is aware, to be honest with you, so I think a letter from staff or a draft come to us for approval will start to inform the province of our hairy neighbors. Call to question, all in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. 9.5 Public Notification Update for the Temporary Use Permit for 295 Southgate. A report from the Director of Economic Development and Tourism dated January 6, 2020 regarding the public notification period for a temporary use permit application. Recommendation, please.
Mayor Bertrand, I'm going to excuse myself.
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you. Rock, paper, scissors.
No, we can.
Councillor Norbury.
That council approves the issuance of a temporary commercial use permit to Mr. Homister to operate Budget Power Sports and Marine at 295 Southgate Street, Tumbler Ridge.
Please do.
Skip over that part.
Nope.
For a nope. PID 005-920-281 Lot 1 DL28568 for a period of 3 years with the allowable C2 uses of small and jet boat engine repair and retail sales of snowmobiles, ATVs, and boats.
Seconder. Councillor Lehman. Any comments? Councillor Norbury.
Yeah, congratulations to Mr. Homister on opening this business. I believe it was our council that changed this designation from a C2 to a C1, so glad to see that we're rectifying this and supporting business in our community.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, call to question. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, 9.6 Community Childcare Space Creation Program. A report from the Recreation Services Manager dated January 6, 2020 to seek council support for the standalone daycare project, UBCM Childcare Space Creation Program application and grant management. Before the recommendation, Mr. Wall, can you just give a brief, Mr. Wall?
Yeah, so this is no different than the resolution council took a look at and passed previously. When we had presented it to council, we had put a motion in supporting both grant applications, and it was in the body of the report. When it went to the granting bodies, they wanted a specific motion specifically for each different grant, so that's what we need this language here. We did send them a letter from the mayor saying, council is aware of it and supportive, and they said thank you for the letter. Please pass us the recommendation when you have a chance. So that's all we're looking for here. We have spoken with the province. The number of applications that have come in has really ballooned, so their approval process is delayed. We're expecting in January to find out. They've looked over our applications, there's no red flags, they think they're good, strong applications, but with the number that have gone in, looks like there's gonna have to be decisions made on where that funding goes, so hopefully into January we'll hear some positive news.
Okay, thank you. Recommendation, please. Councillor Lehman.
That council supports the application to UBCM for the child care space creation program, and the council approves the standalone daycare project and grant management.
Seconder. Councillor Kukalka. Any comments? Call to question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 9.7 Community Emergency Preparedness Fund for Volunteer and Composite Fire Departments. A report from the Director of Protective Services dated January 6, 2020 to request a resolution from Council indicating support and willingness to provide overall grant management. Also, Mr. Wall, would you be able to, or maybe Fire Chief, to give a brief explanation on this one?
Sure. So, Mayor and Councilors, there was a funding opportunity that was presented to the every volunteer and composite department last year. Application was made on behalf of the District of Tumbler Ridge, and from the funding body, they came back and said that I was missing something in the application. So this is an error on my part for not reading the fine print. We have put forward an application to, as my report says, for an extractor so that we can properly clean our firefighting personal protective equipment. Right now, in serious cases where it's heavily contaminated, we have to send it out, which has a cost to the district, a cost of downtime, having abundance of firefighting gear. We have currently we still have a residential washing machine that we wash things on. It's not adequate to current standards that are just being implemented. So the grant application is for the purchase of the extractor.
Thank you. Recommendation, please. Councillor Kukalka.
Council passed a resolution to support the application to UBCM Community Emergency Preparedness Fund made by the District of Tumbler.
Seconder. Councillor Majinski. Any comments? Councillor Kukalka.
Yes, my only question is, and I apologize, I didn't come in and see Mr. Wall. I thought he was away to the office today, but I heard he was in.
Is under the financial budgetary applications, there's approximately $10,000 needed for minor renovations. Is that going to be added into the budget this year? So if the grant is given, that we have the money to do the renovation for the fire department?
Mr. Wall.
If this is passed by council, that's correct.
Any other comments? Call to question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, 9.8. Councillor Norbury.
I need to recuse myself from this one,
Thank you.
as I am a library employee.
Correct, yeah. Little bit of conflict. Okay, 9.8 Tumbler Ridge Public Library Board Appointments 2020. A report from the Director of Corporate Services dated January 6, 2020, seeking Tumbler Ridge Public Library Board appointments for 2020. Recommendation, please. Councillor Kirby.
I'll move that council reappoints District Representative Councillor Curtis Bajinski to the Tumbler Ridge Library Board for 2020, and the following residents are appointed to the Tumbler Ridge Public Library Board for 2020: Fred Ernst, Janice Turner, Amber Bell, Lisa Allen, David Durant, and Joy Lynn Champagne.
Seconder. Councillor Lehman. Any comments? Okay, call to question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, 9.9 Deputy Mayor Designation. A report from the Chief Administrative Officer dated January 6, 2020, seeking designation of the 2020 Deputy Mayor. Recommendation, please. Councillor Kirby.
I'll move that Councillor Kukalka be appointed on a permanent basis for 2020 to serve as the Deputy Mayor when the Mayor is absent or otherwise unable to act.
Seconder. Councillor Majinski, any comments? Councillor Majinski.
I believe Councilor Pakelka's done a good job in the past, and it's very welcome to have him do it.
I agree. I'm very appreciative of Councillor Kirkauka stepping up when I am away. So thank you for the previous year, and yeah. Any other comments? Call to question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. 9.10 schedule of meetings. Council, do you have anything? I wanted to ask council if I know there's been some request for a strategic planning meeting. I'd like to ask council what type of a strategic planning meeting we would be looking for, and at what point in the year we would like to do that. Councilor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor. I usually like to talk about those kind of like what's council's direction for the next year at the beginning, right after budget season. Talk about, you know, the upcoming years, the last two that we have going, what interests are, and then you get a feel for what each councillor is bringing from the community in there. So that would be my suggestion.
So late March, early April, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, I like it. Councilor Norbury.
I think that's a good time because then after looking at the budget, we've already seen what we're looking at, and then it's fresh in our minds when we're deciding what our next steps would be, so that they're complementary versus against each other.
Yeah, and probably give us enough time, hopefully, to get some notification on the grant applications as well. So, okay, and then as far as the type of meeting, are we looking for a facilitator, or are we looking to facilitate in-house? The last one we had was an 8-hour roundtable meeting. Is that what we're looking for? Are we looking for a facilitator to come in and put together a strategic plan for us? Maybe get back to me on that one. We got a little bit of time. Councilor Kirkauka.
Yeah, I'm just more looking for a roundtable discussion like we had previously. I think if we're getting to points there and we have an idea and we can't finalize it, then we look, maybe we need to have something different. Pretty sure a lot of it's ideas, and like you said, we already know where the budget's been, and what we're going to add to it if it makes it better off for the following next 2 years, right? So I just like it.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Thank you. Item 10, notice of motions. Any notice of motions, new ones? Council? I've got one. I'd like to request a staff report on our district water treatment process. I think that's useful information to all of our residents, and I think it's something to be proud of as well. We've got excellent water. So, Councilor Kirkauka?
So just on that, I mean, I'm not saying not to do that, come up with a debate at the end, but we just had staff to, I think it was Mr. Beal through Mr. Wall, but they had it fairly good right up in the paper in regards to our water treatment and stuff like that, and how the circulation works and how it's done. So I just don't know. I mean, to me, that's pretty much a staff report in the local newspaper. Is my own concern. I mean, we can debate it then.
Yeah, that was in regards to lead, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think.
But they had the whole process and stuff in there too.
Oh, okay.
They did a nice job.
Okay, maybe I'll follow up with Mr. Wall on that. Anything else? Notice of motion. 10.1 Baltrees project. Councillor Norbury brought forward the following notice of motion at the December 9th, 2019 council meeting. Recommendation, please. Councillor Norbury.
The council add to the 2020 budget discussions $30,000 over 3 years to be donated to the South Peace Health Services Society for the purpose of the Baltrees Community House Project.
Seconder, Councillor Kirkowka. Any other comments? Councillor Nobre?
I'd just like to clarify, I'm looking for 30,000 over 3 years, not 30,000 per year. Could be seen multiple ways.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Kirkowka?
Yeah, and that was one of the questions I had. I mean, I thought maybe
Is that, you know, I guess we'll wait to council debate, but I mean, that's only $10,000 a year for 3 years, $30,000 as Councilor Norbury's recommendation is there. But I just want to make sure everybody's aware that that's for our residents. I mean, not just for us, but I mean, it's Chatwood and Hudson Home. I mean, it's in Dawson Creek, but it's for our local people that have to go to Dawson Creek. Now, whether that's maternity that goes in 2 weeks before her due date, and it's subsidized housing. So I'm not sure where that organization stands in regards to the building of it, the construction phases of it. But to me, I mean, I'll debate it then, but to me, I wonder $10,000 a year for 3 years is enough, coming from our community.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Just to put it in comparison, when we did our tour last year, Soto First Nation donated $20,000, but I don't believe it was a multi-year donation. I think it was just one time. Councillor Norbury?
I can answer some questions. I mean, I try to add these into my reports, but currently we're still in the construction phase of the project. The building has already been purchased. We've done the roof, the siding. We're still looking to complete the renovations inside. So, you know, Councilor Kalka, honestly, $10,000 a year isn't enough. I mean, but I think you highlighted that it's not for Dawson Creek. It's for the region, even as far north as Fort Nelson. And I think all the municipalities should be helping to fund this project. You know, I don't know how much money that we can possibly give, but it's a starting point, and I think it's important for our residents. And we've already helped residents. You know, we've had a crash victim that has taken advantage of our services. They're not staying in our house, but through partnerships in the community, we're able to offer her the same $20 a night residence, even though we're not even open yet. So we're really about helping people outside of Dawson Creek, and this society is not Dawson Creek Council or from the city. It's its own society, so we need funding.
Yeah, it was originally developed with a regional aspect involved. I know previous Mayor McPherson was involved with Mayor Bumstead to really get the ball rolling on it, and this society has done some incredible things, and it's already had an impact for our community, and they're not even open yet. But it was very welcomed when we were able to offer subsidized housing. So I agree with you, Councillor Kirkowka. I don't believe it is enough, and I would like to propose an amendment to the recommendation that we give $30,000 per year for 3 years. Seconder, Councillor Norbury. Comments on the amendment? Councillor Kirkowka.
I'll support that amendment, but my question, I guess, is this is being added to the budget discussion, so that can even go up from there. Is my understanding of the motion. I just want to make sure I'm correct when I say that. So we can vote on the amendment and find that, but that doesn't mean that we can't add more. Once council, you know, I'm not sure how many people are aware of what Bull Trails is going to be doing for our residents, but I think gives people a chance before budget discussion to actually reach out and talk to some people that possibly will be using that. Somebody, like I said, a maternity patient, anybody that's cancer, stuff like that. Those are the people that possibly them or their family could use that facility. And I think when I look at it, I look at how many patients from Tumbler get transferred to Dawson Creek. And it's many. Like when I worked for BC Ambulance, it was many. I can't confirm that now. I don't work for BC Ambulance anymore. But it gives us a chance to do our work and not talk to BC Ambulance. I mean, I'm not sure how much information they can give us on that, but pretty sure they're about to tell us that they're transferring, you know, 20 people a month still, or 30 people. That tells you how much it possibly is going to be used by our residents. And to me, I think, you know, we don't have an overnight hospital, so you know, Chetwynd does, Hudson Home doesn't. So I look at who's going to use it mostly, right? And you already hit it up, Councilor Ray, that it's not us. I just want to make sure we can debate it as much times. Just want to confirm that. Even though if we pass $30,000 for 3 years, $30,000 a year for 3 years, it just says For budget discussions.
For
so
budget
that can be
discussions.
still debated at budget time.
Correct, correct. Councillor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I'd like to keep the notice of motion at what it is sitting at now, at 10,000 for 3 years, and then debate it at budget time.
Okay.
Instead of making another amendment motion.
Okay, Councillor Lehman.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I'm curious as to how much the other communities are going to be putting in, because I realize that Tumbler Ridge is going to make use of this, but I also don't want to be contributing more than our fair share. And I think that's something that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, I think on average, I believe from what I've seen, Councillor Norbury, correct me if I'm wrong, the average donation by communities was around 20,000 per year. Councillor Norbury?
With the Peace Regional District putting in $200,000, I believe, in the First Nations bands, and the six figures as well.
Multi-year as well. Yeah, there's a lot of support within the region, definitely. Any other comments on the amendment? Okay, call to question on the amendment. All in favor? Opposed? Defeated? Call to question on the recommendation. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. 10.2 sidewalks downtown. Councillor Norbury brought forward the following notice of motion at the December 9th, 2019 council meeting. Recommendation, please, Councillor Norbury.
The council requests a report on sidewalks in the downtown core and solutions for repair.
Seconder, Councillor Kurkalka. Comments? Councillor Norbury.
Yeah, I realize this is not the best time of year to bring up, let's go look at our sidewalks. I mean, they're covered in snow, but realistically, this is something that we should have on the radar. And, speaking with staff, it is. But, realistically, some areas, our sidewalks are unsafe for the average person. And speaking with persons with mobility issues, it's downright scary for them to be moving around. And, in the second part, I think we're trying to look at our downtown appeal. How can we attract businesses downtown? We want it to look nice when we have our tourists coming in. And I think this is something that we should be looking at.
Any other comments? Councillor Kurkalka.
This report is for Deerset's own sidewalks only.
Councillor Norbury.
I was looking for all sidewalks.
I need to excuse myself. Needs to be wording there, right? That's why.
Thank you, Councillor.
Sorry.
Okay. Can we clarify that again, Councillor Norbury? All sidewalks? Councillor Norbury.
Yeah, my recommendations for all sidewalks in the downtown core.
Okay. Councillor Howe.
So how would that work if a business owns a sidewalk and their sidewalk is damaged? The idea here would be that we're gonna repair the district sidewalks and you guys have to repair yours as well to pretty up the downtown core. We're gonna force businesses in the downtown core to repair their sidewalks.
Councillor Norbury.
I don't see it as that. I don't think we should be forcing our businesses to do anything. But if we're looking at the sidewalks in our downtown core, it makes sense to take a look at everything, not just district owned. If we want to make a motion to change it to be just district owned sidewalks, somebody's welcome to make that motion.
Mm-hmm. Councillor Howe.
Just for the debate, not that I want to change the motion, just to think about it a little bit more here. Just because you're painting your fence doesn't mean I gotta paint my fence, right? So, just kind of think it through here a little bit here. We can definitely affect anything that is to do with the district of Tumbler Ridge through motion pretty quickly. But if we're going to start trying to enforce other people how we want their sidewalks to look or the condition of their sidewalks, I don't know if we're going down the right path there. I understand where the idea is behind it, but can we ask a business to do that? I don't think so.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I understand your concern there, Councillor, and I think we're at the point. I am concerned, as Councillor Norbury is, with the condition of the sidewalks in the downtown area. I think we are at the point of 30 to 40 years of age that Something needs to be done, and everybody talks about beautifying the downtown core. The sidewalks are a major hindrance to that, I believe. They're in rough shape. Councillor Kirby?
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. I think if there's a business who has a frontage and a sidewalk is actually, is dangerous for pedestrians, then, we have to look at that. I think in our bylaws, it has to state, like, you have to have your sidewalk safe. So if the district was gonna take on a repaving or refurbishing sidewalks, that's a good time to let, businesses know we're gonna do this, we're gonna share the cost of bringing the people in. You have an issue with some work, we're gonna be doing it, you should be on board. Or we have to look at our, just.
Maybe an incentive program or something,
But just
possibly?
look at how they have to upkeep. Businesses have to make sure that, their frontage is safe.
I agree.
So I would assume that. I mean, everybody's liable, but if it's your downtown core, I think you just work it into a program. We're looking at things. If you're on board to fixing, we're gonna have someone come in, cut the costs. We have issues or, I'm not sure how that works. We'd have to look at what our bylaws are.
Councillor Howe?
Did we not have a look at our sidewalks when we did our paving assessment on the community a few years ago? Were the sidewalks not looked at? I know any of the roads that we looked at, the sidewalks were part of it.
Mr. Wall?
Do we not already have an assessment?
Mr. Wall, was there an assessment done of the downtown?
Part of it was, and there was limited replacement that was done, and you can see where the limited replacement was. We do, about 2 weeks ago, we got our draft in for the downtown core assessment, because that was a separate assessment coming in. So that should be finalized and on its way to council soon, and from there, you guys will have the choice to look at what you want to do. And we're grappling with some of the same questions that you have. One of the reasons it's not complete is I've requested a better breakdown of who owns what, because I know that this is an issue that the district owns part of a sidewalk and businesses own the other part. Can the district regulate what the sidewalks will look like? Yes, we can. We can regulate what you put on the outside of your building to be in the downtown core. And we would enforce it the way you suggest. If it's become a nuisance or a danger, then we can inform businesses that they must replace. We're not at that point. We're not even in that discussion yet, but it is something that council should keep in their heads, because that discussion is coming up sooner rather than later. And decisions, before we go forward on any of it, I think decisions on the entirety would be best. And it's not just on that, it's what's the design going to look like? What do you want the downtown to look like? What type of materials? What color? All those sorts of things. So those discussions are going to be starting soon. So we do have the physical asset condition report that's just about to be finalized, and from there we need a discussion with council on what do you want to do in the downtown.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, Councillor Lehman.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Bertrand. Yeah, I think once we have an idea of what we're wanting to do, I think we have to let the businesses know so that they're aware of what might be coming down the line, just so that they're not, here's a surprise for you.
Yeah, definitely stakeholder engagement, I would say. Councillor Majinski?
So should we hold off on this report from staff until we get the finalized overview of how the downtown core is supposed to look like? Because they're probably going to have to do re-engineering of some of the areas where there's water, right? So that could completely change this and how they're looking at it, opposed to how the contractor is looking at it.
Wouldn't the information that you're compiling now add to this type of a report, though?
I think it would, and I don't think we're going to get away through this with one report either. This is going to be multi-stage, and the speed that we go through this, as Councillor Lehman suggested, it could be lengthy. It depends how closely you want to work with the business. It depends how much of an issue there is between it. It might not be as big as maybe we're making it out to be. So once we answer those questions, we'll have a better idea. But as far as requesting this report, I think that's fine. We're planning on bringing this report anyway, so that council request just kind of formalizes the process a little bit.
Okay, Councillor Norbury?
Realistically, this is the first step in that whole process. Something that we have. I personally have conversations regularly with residents, and this is the first step. in that process, like Councilor Lehman's mentioning, and yeah, I fully agree. This, we need to talk to our business owners. We need to see what where our lines and their lines begin, and it's going to be a partnership moving forward in potential cost savings for increasing foot traffic to their business.
I agree. Councilor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor. No, I like the idea of looking into this a lot. And then I think, in the future, we're gonna be building our building facades here. And so this is this is gonna change the look of the downtown and Tumbler Ridge, just for our municipal buildings, maybe adding the downtown core to get in on it. If they're, maybe, we think about incentives down the road and we look at the whole downtown as one, and include the businesses and some of the excitement of the refacing.
I agree. Yep. Any other comments? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Councilor's business. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Item 11, Councilor's business. Anything, Councilor Norbury?
I'd like to bring up one thing. I'd like to bring up the snow removal over the weekend. We had a huge dump of snow on Friday, and I drove around the community and I saw that our snow policy came into full effect, and I was very happy with how staff has managed it. And I feel that it really encompassed what we were trying to do when I brought forward the snow removal policy to be looked at.
Right on. Good kudos. Councilor Kukalka?
Yeah, I have a couple things. I know Chetwynd Council hasn't reached out to us, but maybe we should reach out to Chetwynd Council. I mean, it only happened yesterday, so it might take a little bit. But Chetwynd Hospital went to a shutdown as of 7 p.m. last night till 9 a.m. this morning, meaning taking no patients. So to me, they live in a community, an industry community as well. Mines are there, mills are there, we have mines here, meaning no, you're taking no inbound patients. So if there would have been a major event there, whether it be an accident or something else, everybody was transferred either to Dawson or Fort St. John. Golden hour was out the window to me in Chetwynd. So I'd like to see council or even the worship just reach out to Chetwynd, see if they're looking for any support to have us write a letter of support with them to Northern Health. I mean, we use Chetwynd Hospital as well for our patients. So I think something should be done there. Maybe the mayor can just do that on his own, I believe. I mean, Mr. Wall can give that direction. I'm pretty sure the mayor can
take care of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. The other thing was, I'm not sure, and maybe my bad for not forwarding on, but I thought it went to everybody, and that was through the Grizzly ATV Club from Tumbler. Tim Cross had emailed a letter on December 16th in regards to looking at us. Not sure how we're going to do it, and I was hoping it was going to be on our agenda tonight to discuss it, to what we thought about it. It was a letter in regards to either the use of the trailer that we may have that would work for them, or looking at buying them a trailer through, whether it's a grant maybe they need to fill out or whatever. But my understanding, well, it's on their package, and I don't think anybody's reached out to them.
No, I don't believe so, no.
So I'm sure Mr. Wall received it. Maybe it was only to council, so if that's the case,
Yeah.
I should be forwarding that on to Mr. Wall, because I imagine it would have probably ended up on the agenda.
I don't remember seeing the contact list on that. Mr. Wall, did you receive that?
I don't recall it, I'm looking now.
I forwarded it. I'll forward it. I still have it.
So after the meeting,
I see.
Forward it. Yeah, I was just curious, actually. Again,
I apologize. I thought you were out of the office today, and I know you said call, but didn't think it was worth calling. The other thing I have, and it came up in Councilor Norbury's comments, and that was in regards to Theo Fleury. We talk about Barb, who's here now working for Northern Health as a social worker and then part-time counselor. I was made aware of it on the weekend from residents. She's leaving. I reached out to Peter Martin this afternoon via an email, asking him if the rumor is true. And his answer tonight was that it is, that she will be leaving the facility, that they've already put it out for external, for a job posting, and then they'll go from there. But I know we have a meeting coming up sometime this month with the Mayor Health Task Force, and again, I think Northern Health needs to start reaching out to us when this stuff's going down, not through the rumor tree. Like, I think this council, Councillor Howe for sure, when he was chairing that, the Mayor Health Task Force, it's plain as day, we're there to help Northern Health. I think we've already done that when we use taxpayers' money to bump up to get a lab and X-ray tech in that building, and here we are hearing that this is happening. Try to bring in guest speakers. I say bring in counselors. I mean, I think, I'm not saying, and I agree with Councilor Robert. He says you don't have to choose, and maybe that's correct. But to me, we need this drug and alcohol counselors. We need youth counselors, and here we're losing another medical position in our clinic. So I know we have these private meetings with Northern Health. I guess I won't say private because that'd be the wrong thing, but I meet as on the task force with Peter Martin once a month, with usually Dr. Helm or Barb Sherkamp from the facility. I think it's time that we bring Northern Health into as a delegation. I really, really believe that we as council should be more updated. I know very lack of update from the committee, but we haven't met in probably 2 months. We canceled the last one to have a meeting here with Peter Martin, and I can't remember his name.
Angela.
I just think it's time that they realize, we're talking about using taxpayers' money to help with filling a lab and X-ray because it's important to have that for our doctors and for our residents when it's needed. And now we're losing another position, and I think we just need to have, you got to understand that we got to be more open, I think, with us. I think we're fairly open with them. Councillor Hall mentioned it earlier tonight too, is, we talked about throwing our own money and bypassing Northern Health. How does that work? We say that, it's hard to find drug and alcohol counselors, it's hard to find this, but is it? How does Site C have its own doctors and nurses on? That's how they did, was with money. Maybe it's the time, if we think we have a crisis in our community, that we put our money forward. Northern Health can't do it.
Yeah, I
Or
think.
we start hitting the ministry and maybe not going to Northern Health anymore and going right to the Ministry of Health. Something has to happen there. Chetwynd, I feel bad for Chetwynd. It was a pretty outcry last night, social media wise.
That's not the first time either.
No.
As far as I understand it, it's a capacity issue there. They have a lot of patients that are taking up beds that could be in assisted living or something in that sense. So I know it's definitely a capacity issue. It's not the first time, and it's definitely an issue there. But thank you for bringing that up as far as the social worker. Northern Health definitely needs to be contacting us in regards to that stuff. And I hope that I will contact Peter, but I hope that you will also express our concern at the next task force meeting as well. Councillor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor Bertrand. On just this talk with Northern Health, this has been the major issue for how many years? I think our communities have to get together and we start thinking about resolutions to go to NCLGA and UBCM and have a stronger voice there, because obviously nothing's getting done. And I think it's time we just got to go there with guns a-blazing. This is getting ridiculous.
Councillor Norbury.
Trying to limit some of my statements because I have I'm pretty passionate about healthcare, and I'm very disappointed in the state that it's currently in. But to share a little bit of information, I was in a session with the Minister of Health, and he spoke to the Ministry of Health's plan moving forward, and they believed in centralized care. And what that actually means is that one city gets the best care, and then we all have to travel. Now, I think it's obvious that that's not us. It's going to be somewhere else, and I agree. I don't think it's acceptable that we have substandard care while others get the best of the best, especially when people here are dying, and people. It's something that we maybe need to go directly to the Ministry of Health and explain how this system is flawed, and you can't forget about rural areas. Just because we're not Metro Vancouver, we don't deserve the same quality of care.
Agreed. Any other comments? Any other councillors' business? I just have one. I had a call from Ministry of Flinro, Deputy Minister John Allen before Christmas in regards to the Caribou Partnership Agreement. They will be reaching out to local governments and clubs in this month, and they will be starting the recreation portion of the partnership agreement with engagement with local clubs and local governments, as well as the socioeconomic impact study. They will be reaching out to communities and trying to put together that information for the partnership agreement as well. So it was a follow-up from the leadership table meeting in Vancouver there, basically looking for our support to continue this information gathering, and I completely supported them 100%. This is critical information to support the partnership agreement, and it should have been done 2 years ago. And yeah, I'm definitely in support of it, and I told them that Tumbler Ridge will be involved in every step of the way. So yeah, Councillor Krakauka.
Yeah, I apologize for that. So one thing that was in regards to delegation was talking about swim passes and gym passes. Is that something we can add to the next meeting or the next PMP?
Yep, we can add that to the PMP. Betcha. Okay, any other councillor business? Oh, and to follow up my comment there, I did reach out to Ridge Riders and Grizzly Valley ATV and gave them a heads up that the ministry will be contacting them. So, and thank you, Councillor Kirby, for your report as well. Appreciate it. Question and answer period. Any questions in regards to tonight's agenda? No? Okay. Adjournment recommendation, please, Councillor Krakauka.
The Monday, January 6, 2020, regular council meeting adjourned.
Seconder, Councillor Lehman. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.